Piracy is making a comeback once again. The days of LimeWire and Napster are now returning. All because streaming platforms got too greedy. It used to be that you'd have Netflix and you'd have every movie available to you. Marvel movies, the classics. But now, Marvel, the owners of Marvel, Disney, decide to make their own streaming platform like Disney Plus. There's Hulu, there's ESPN Plus, there's HBO Max, Paramount. There's so many streaming platforms that it actually makes more sense to not have any of them and just to pirate your movies. On top of that, the pirating platforms now are way better than they used to be. The interface is better than Netflix now. This video is by Patrick CC. Piracy is the logical solution. Let's start it.
Isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing, which is why piracy is no longer seen as digital theft reserved for risk takers and your plug who knew a sketchy website. Now it's easier and more convenient than ever. TV, movies, sports, live events, whatever you want for free. It's become so normalized that piracy sites are getting more yearly visits than every streaming service combined. But this makes sense when you consider that every facet of the entertainment industry has been destroyed by corporations. Even if you're not a sports fan, you will relate to this struggle, because you need to see how insanely difficult it is just to watch a basketball game. I live in Oklahoma City, and I really wanted to follow the Thunder and the entire Western Conference a couple years ago, so I bought an...
Yeah, it's really annoying when you want to watch a basketball game, and then it's blacked out in your area because it's in your area. It makes no sense. If I want to watch a game that's in my area, I should be able to watch it if I don't want to watch it on TV. It's easier. What if I'm at the airport and I'm going to miss it and I want to watch it on my phone? They don't let you do that.
NBA League Pass for $110 for the season. Silly me for thinking that one streaming service would have every game. League Pass only lets you watch games that are out of market, which meant I couldn't actually watch the Thunder games because I live in Oklahoma City and those rights belong to the FanDuel Sports Network. And if the game was nationally televised, that was exclusively broadcast on ESPN or TNT, which meant I needed a cable package or another app like Hulu Live or Sling just to catch the games literally happening in my city. As of right now, if you want to guarantee that you will be able to watch all of the NBA games in the US when they are...
You can pirate it because you can guarantee it'll be available. Stream East, I'm not sure if it's still around now. Rest in peace if it's not. You can get every basketball game you want on there.
Actually happening live, you need to have ESPN, which requires you to have Hulu plus live TV or YouTube TV or Sling Orange TV or with an upgraded cable package. Then you need Peacock, which is $11 per month. Then you need Prime Video, which is $9 per month, and ABC, which would come with your basic local cable subscription. The cheapest way to guarantee every game would be $66 in subscriptions and whatever your basic cable costs these days, which is on average about $25. So roughly $91 per month just to watch basketball, the cheapest. Now, me personally, I would never pirate anything. That is behavior I absolutely condemn. But I'm not surprised anyone who would do it when all you got to do is go to one of the many widely available free websites, click the extremely clean and clear interface that says the exact game or event you are looking for, and just watch it for free. But honestly, we should have...
You know, this is just a hypothetical scenario, by the way. I was hypothetically trying to find a movie to pirate not too long ago. And when I went to one of the pirating sites, they actually somehow had it in better quality than it was in the movie theaters, I think. It was Netflix level quality. So if I could do that for free, the only risk is you could potentially get viruses and things like that. But now they have this voting system where if a user downloads it and it works, they can vote it up. And so the ones that work the best actually rank at the top now. So there's really no risk of getting a viruses like it used to be, where you download a video or a movie or whatever, and it'll be like a Soulja Boy music video. Yeah, those days are long gone.
This terrible streaming climate coming from a mile away, because as they say, nothing good lasts forever. And to understand why piracy is so rampant today, we have to understand this detailed list of problems that piracy solves. Netflix used to be $8 per month, and it had a deep catalog of some of the most popular shows ever made. The Office, Friends, Breaking Bad, Dexter, Family Guy, American Horror Story, Pretty Little Liars, Law and Order, and even some Disney and Pixar titles. They had the Harry Potter films, they had Star Wars, they had classic movies like Shawshank Redemption, The Godfather, The Dark Knight. They even had Marvel titles before Disney Plus launched. It felt limitless, like the entire entertainment industry was in one app for the price of a fast food meal. Today, $8.99 gets you 9,000 shows you will never watch.
Today, $8.99 gets you ads. You're paying the streaming service to show you ads and to have less. You're paying for lower quality videos. You're paying for lower quality videos and you get ads now. If you want to get rid of the ads, you have to pay $15.99. And if you want 4K, you got to pay $21.99. And it's just going to keep going up. They're going to keep taking movies and TV shows off the platform. So you're paying more for lower quality ads, and they don't have as big of a selection as they used to. And they're doing this very slowly. They're doing it so slowly that you won't even notice it. And that's why I no longer subscribe to Netflix.
And that's with ads. And if you don't want ads, no problem. That's $25 a month. Plus, every studio with a morsel of valuable IP decided to make their own app. So instead of one library, you get 10 half libraries, each charging you separately. HBO Max, $21 a month. Hulu and Disney Plus, $19 a month. Peacock, $17. Apple TV Plus, Paramount Plus, Discovery Plus, Stars Play, BritBox, and niche ones like Shudder, Crunchyroll, Acorn TV all jumped into the fight, each charging $4 to $20 a month. I sometimes have this thought like, man, I wish I could just pay one price for all of the streaming services grouped together, and then I realize that's kind of what cable was. But streaming was supposed to be the solution to cable's
Look at how that works. They make it so cheap in the beginning that it makes sense to get it. Once they have 500 million users, all of a sudden the price goes up. When they make it so cheap, everyone else goes out of business. Cable is going out of business. A lot of shows aren't on cable anymore. They're buying up all those shows. And now that they have you over the barrel, now that they have you by the neck, they can now rinse you.
Outlandish prices and bloated packages, and yet they are slowly turning into the very thing they sought to destroy. Check out this old residential cable service price sheet from 1993. Just your basic news and weather channels was the same cost as...
You know who else used to do that? Standard Oil and the Rockefellers. They made their oil... Oh, a competitor pops up. They make their oil so cheap, the competitor can't compete with them. And when the competitor goes out of business, the price goes back up. The oldest one in the book.
Netflix when they first launched. Adding just 2 or 3 premium channels like the Disney Channel takes the price from $8 to $20 to $27 per month. This is actually insanely expensive for the 90s, especially when you consider that you did not get to choose what content to watch or when you could watch it. And of course, you still had commercials. Streaming solved all of these problems, but in 2025, almost all of these problems are back. I recently wanted to watch The Founder after doing research for my fast food video, but Netflix would not allow me to watch it since I pay for the cheapest version of Netflix that has ads. I was annoyed, but I thought maybe it had something to do with McDonald's having some sort of strict licensing issue that forced Netflix to lock it behind the premium tier. But it turns out there are 138 movies and TV series blocked on Netflix advertising tier. For $8 per month, you cannot watch Spider-Man, White Chicks, Boys in the Hood, or even the Garfield movie. Half the time, you don't even know whether something...
I did not even know that was a thing. I didn't know I was missing movies when I had it. So if you have the advertising tier, you're missing movies and you don't even know it.
Isn't available or not because of licensing contracts, region restrictions, or just because you're on the wrong subscription plan. The end result feels exactly like cable again, paying more money just to unlock what you thought you were already paying for, thus making piracy the logical solution. You can go to these super cool websites that I never endorse because that is wrong and immoral, and just search basically any movie and get a high definition download. However, cable being much more expensive actually did have a slight benefit that that nobody realized at the time. The competition for ratings meant that the shows that survived were usually the best of the best. Every network was fighting for limited primetime slots, and if a show could not pull in millions of viewers week after week, it was canceled. There was no filler at primetime. Seinfeld, Friends, The Simpsons, The X-Files, Sex and the City, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I could go on and on. Networks weren't pumping out hundreds of new series every year just to fill catalog space. They were making sure the few shows they produced had the writing, acting, and budgets to succeed. And to no surprise at all, these old shows are still dominating streaming services today. In 2022, Seinfeld racked up 19.3 billion viewing minutes on Netflix, making it the 10th most watched show of that year. Compare that to one of their most popular originals, Wednesday, which was everywhere in 2022. Viral on TikTok, Jenna Ortega was launched into A-list fame. It was
That girl's actually like older than what you would think. I don't know, that's just a random thought, but like I think she's like 30 years old or something. And she was playing a high schooler in that show.
damn near a monoculture moment, yet it still drew fewer minutes than Seinfeld, a 30-year-old sitcom. Shows like The Umbrella Academy and The Rings of Power pulled in about half the audience of Seinfeld. Cable forced networks to compete for your attention in a way that streaming doesn't. And to take that one step further, today shows and movies are literally designed knowing that people are not all the way paying attention to them. Netflix has leaned into what's called the second screen era, where they assume that most viewers are watching TV while scrolling their phones, cooking, or doing laundry. Hollywood writer, director, and producer Justine Bateman said, "I've heard from showrunners who are given notes from the
You need a distraction from your current distraction." That's insane, dude. We're like, honestly, we're getting cooked. Everyone needs to take time of their day where they just sit there and stare at the wall with nothing but just their thoughts to recalibrate their attention spans. Because it's like, that's really ridiculous.
streamers that this isn't second screen enough, which begs the question, why would someone give all of their attention to something that is only designed to be consumed with half of their attention? According to reports, Netflix execs are urging screenwriters to have characters announce their actions out loud so that viewers can follow along without looking at the screen. For example, "We spent a day together," Lohan tells her lover James in Irish Wish. "I admit it was a beautiful day filled with dramatic vistas and romantic rain, but that doesn't give you the right to question my life choices. Tomorrow, I'm marrying Paul Kennedy." "Fine," he responds. "That will be the last you see of me because after this job is over, I'm off to Bolivia to photograph an endangered tree lizard." This kind of over-explaining feels completely unnatural, and real people don't talk like this. It makes what should feel cinematic like a boring audiobook. And look, I'm all for casual viewing. I know a ton of my audience casually watches my videos while doing other things. But also, I make low-budget YouTube videos that are free to watch, not multi-million-dollar films behind a paywall. I don't know about you, but when I watch a movie, I like to pay attention. By training viewers to expect content that doesn't demand their full attention, Netflix is creating an audience that's even less likely to pay attention. And the less they pay attention, the less they care about quality. And as long as they feel just entertained enough, means they likely won't cancel their subscription. It's almost like they are conditioning the perfect audience who will barely pay attention to their content or their credit card bill so they can increase prices while lowering the quality for an audience who doesn't even notice. In the cable era, a show needed to be excellent to survive. Well, not forever, actually.
If I see $1 out of place, I'm checking for it. I need to know exactly where that dollar went.
This started to die in the 2000s. Once cable became the dominant form of television in America, the few companies at the top could now take advantage of their market dominance. Cable prices climbed 40% in just 6 years, jumping from about $34 in 2000.
I thought cable hasn't been the dominant mode of watching like TV shows and whatnot for like 100 years or something. I guess they had radio. When did cable come out?
To $47 in 2006. Meanwhile, inflation only rose 14.3% in that same period. Cable companies such as Comcast, Spectrum, Dish, DirecTV, and Cox started bundling networks into giant packages with hundreds, sometimes thousands of channels. If you wanted to watch ESPN, you were forced to also buy Lifetime, QVC, the Golf Channel, MTV3, and whatever else they decided to shove into the bundle. You weren't allowed to just pick the 5 or 6 channels that you actually watched. watched. And now streaming companies are doing a similar tactic. They flood their
You know what?
platforms
I do have Prime Video, only because I already pay for Amazon Prime.
with new shows and movies you will never watch because adding volume creates the illusion of value, justifying their increasing price. Netflix alone released 589 new Netflix originals in 2024, just slightly over its 2023 total of 500.
How can they even afford to release that many Netflix originals? Each one has to cost at least $1 million. With some even being more than that. That's like $600 million. Netflix is killing it.
68. There can't possibly be nearly 600 new shows and movies worth watching every year, but it's all part of the bigger plan. Every year, Netflix originals slowly take up more of their catalog, and then they license less. In 2022, over 50% of their catalog was originals. Now, some of these originals are good. Ozark, Queen's Gambit, Beef are just a few off the top of my head, but the rest are mostly filler. They are watering down their product to save money instead of purchasing valuable shows, because licensing the movies and TV shows you actually want to watch cost a fortune. In 2019, Netflix lost both Friends and The Office, two classic, reliable sitcoms that were some of the most watched shows on their platform, after Warner Media and NBC pulled the rights for their own services. To fill that gap, Netflix struck a massive deal to acquire Seinfeld, reportedly paying over $500 million for global streaming rights, and that's only for 5 years. So they would have to spend another fortune to keep the show. And this is the cycle we're stuck in now. Streamers don't want to pay billions to keep
it's like they're probably like competing with other streaming services to get that deal. So the price just keeps going up. It just keeps going up. Like, because Disney might bid on it, Paramount might bid on it, HBO Max might bid on it. So now the price goes from 100 million to 500 million.
Classics that people actually want to watch, so they crank out repetitive, boring, low-budget originals that are literally designed for you to halfway pay attention to. Then they slowly raise the monthly price because look at all this new, fresh, original content we're giving you. And users have been conditioned to only watch casually anyways, so they barely notice the dip in quality. Plus, that's only one streaming service. Every company with a little bit of valuable IP started their own app, and they're doing the same exact system. So now if you want a library of great shows and movies, you need to subscribe to multiple services. The average household actively uses around 4 streaming apps, and 8% even access 10 or more. That equals about $69 per month, which is just about the same price that cable was in the early 2010s when everyone jumped to streaming. Piracy is the solution to all of these problems. Piracy reached a low in 2020 with 130 billion website visits, which by the way is still a ton. But by 2024, that number had risen to 216 billion.
Oh, yeah,
it's actually incredibly simple as to why. Gabe Newell, the founder of the online video game marketplace Steam, summarized this perfectly nearly a decade ago. We think there is a fundamental misconception about piracy. Piracy is almost always a service problem and not
Exactly. People will pay up for great service. When the service stops being great, people will leave and they'll go with the other option. Especially if the option is free, like piracy. When the quality is super high, like the main reason people would rather have Netflix than pirate a movie is because the quality is so much higher. It's literally higher. It's 1080p or 4K. It's not recorded with a standing camera in the movie theater or whatever. You can get all the episodes, but now you can't even get all the episodes for a season. Now for the first season you have to have Hulu. For the second season you have to have Netflix. For the third season you have to have HBO Max. And so now everything's split up also, and it's just like, it just makes more sense to pirate it now.
Pricing problem. If a pirate offers a product anywhere in the world, 24/7, purchasable from the convenience of your personal computer, and the legal provider says that the product is region locked, will come to your country 3 months after the US release, and can only be purchased at a brick and mortar.
See, that's what happened with the Demon Slayer movie not too long ago. They released it in Japan, but then it took like 3 or 4 months for it to come to the US. A lot of the people in the US just pirated the Japan version with the subtitles. Like when you were like, piracy is gonna start going crazy, dude. Piracy, I know their websites are starting to go up, dude.
store, then the pirate service is more valuable. In short, convenience is key, and people are willing to pay, but why are they making it so complicated? The music industry got it right for the consumer. They created something so simple that it wasn't even necessary to pirate music anymore. At its peak, Napster had nearly 80 million registered users downloading and sharing.
That actually affected the artists though, because the artists make less money now. Like streams are not anywhere equal to like an album, what albums used to be back in the day. Artists now need to make money from like concerts, merchandise, appearances, and things like that, rather than their actual music.
Music for free. By the mid-2000s, sites like LimeWire and BitTorrent were handling billions of illegal downloads every year. Year over year, music revenue sales were dropping, and the music industry executives were convinced it was because of piracy. That's when Spotify, Apple Music, and other music streaming services came around to essentially make the Netflix of music. However, these services are better because there is no exclusivity. No matter what service you pay for, you will have access to basically the same exact music as any other platform.
I remember before streaming, it would be like iTunes, and you would have to pay like $1 for each song on the album. But now with streaming, you can get all that for $10 a month, $5 a month, or even free sometimes.
One monthly price and nearly every song and album ever made. Now, this isn't necessarily all good. This has devalued music incredibly, and artists get fractions of a penny per stream, but unfortunately, the customer doesn't care because the service is better for them. But we might be at a tipping point with music streaming services because Spotify is seemingly taking a page out of Netflix playbook and prioritizing their own music over licensed music, but the problem is, it's AI generated. But that's a whole different video. Compared to now, it seems like in the early 2010s, streaming services had it right. All they had to do was not change. Piracy was at an all-time low in the early 2010s because it was safer, easier, and not a financial burden to just pay for the content you wanted to watch. Now, there are always going to be people who simply don't want to or can't pay. This is extremely common with pay-per-view events. For many years, Dana White and the UFC waged war against sites like crack streams, trying to convince everyone that he would get them shut down.
You kind of stirred the pot a little bit with the piracy, the online streamers. They want to come after you and give this thing away. So, any regret? Kind of maybe stirring the pot a little bit.
I'm glad you asked me about that.
Well, the fights always suck. Like the first 4 fights on the card are terrible. Nobody wants to watch that. We just want to watch the main fight, and then the main fight is usually not even good now either. Like, fighters are not what they used to be. I remember paying for the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight. All Floyd did was run around. He just ran away the entire time. Why would I want to pay for that? $100 or something, and make him a filthy rich? Floyd is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Doesn't make any sense.
Because we got one. We got him. We're watching this guy right now. All you have to do is turn it on Saturday, and we got you. I can't wait. Turn it on Saturday, streamers, and see what happens.
Nothing happened. 4 years later, and you could watch any UFC fight crystal clear HD on a handful of different free streaming sites. Dana eventually realized he was losing the battle with illegal pay-per-view streamers, and to everyone's surprise, he actually made a deal that benefits the consumer now. In 2026, all UFC events will air exclusively on...
See, the solution to all this is for the streaming services just to listen to their customers. All a company needs to do is just listen to their customers. The customers will tell you exactly what they want. That will solve all your problems. Stop worrying about billion-dollar companies. They're good. They're good. The customers are struggling. People are out here struggling to eat. They're about to take, it's 2025, the end of 2025. It's about to be November. They're about to take food stamps away. People aren't going to be able to eat soon. So is it going to be between straight Netflix or eating food? Come on, the answer is obvious.
Paramount networks in the United States. That means 13 marquee numbered events and 30 fight nights will air via Paramount Plus. For $13 per month, you can get all the UFC events and all of Paramount's content ad-free. This is actually a monumental shift. For the first time ever, fans will have access to the fights at the lowest cost in history. But it's not all positive. Some suspect that this is the beginning of the UFC resorting to basically all the exact issues I have already raised with streaming services. Once the UFC moves fully fully to a streaming platform, they've got your money locked in, whether the card is stacked with superstars or filled with nobodies. That pressure to deliver massive must-see events disappears overnight. And honestly, that's already been happening in the past couple years. The storytelling is basically non-existent, cards are bloated with fighters nobody cares about, their upcoming talent pool is getting less impressive and exciting, but now the cost of 13 marquee events is roughly the same price as one pay-per-view. So as long as you get one good card per year, it's technically worth the subscription. They quite literally just cheapened their product, so we should expect the quality to decrease even more. Also, fighters have traditionally been paid based on pay-per-view points, meaning if the card sold well, they got paid well. Once that model disappears, the UFC has to raise base pay for their top stars just to keep them happy. That makes those stars more expensive to book, so to save money, the UFC will inevitably have them fight less. Fewer high-profile matchups,
or just raise the prices on the customer. Companies, they all, like something like UFC, they always want to put the cost back on the customer. If the fighters cost more, then it's going to have to cost more for the customer to buy it.
more watered down fight nights, and a whole lot of filler. Fans will pay less, but they also will get less. All of these companies across the entire entertainment industry, besides music, kinda, have overcomplicated their model of delivering content to customers for the sole purpose of squeezing every last dollar out of the end user. I believe most people are good people, and I don't think anyone expects to get quality entertainment for free. We were in a good sweet spot in the 2010s, but greed ruined it. Now the costs are higher, the content is worse, and the convenience is gone. I've canceled nearly all of my subscriptions or reduced to just the ad tier because I just don't watch as much. And I know I'm not alone. When the system no longer respects the consumer,
I spend all my time watching YouTube. YouTube is the future. YouTube is free. Very entertaining. And the quality is going up on YouTube, and it stays free. Unless you want premium, then you pay a few dollars a month. But it makes sense because you get hundreds of millions of videos.
consumer finds another way. That's why piracy doesn't feel like stealing anymore. It feels like the logical solution.